A lot of times you hear a politician say, the truth is we have a lot more in common than we have that separates us. It's not true. The gap between left and right is gigantic. Welcome to the Masters Program. I'm Dennis Prager. So, you're in for a ride. Every one of you knows how divided America is. But not a lot of people can explain the divisions. They might feel them, but I want to explain them.
One of the most important differences between the left and the right.
I have a long time saying on my radio show, my motto is, I prefer clarity to agreement.
I've got an issue with the comments that you were making.
I'm not giving you a hard time. I'm curious to know your thinking. I'm not arguing with you. These are very fair questions you're asking.
It's not a political issue, Dennis.
What is
an
it
issue.
then?
Very often if a caller calls up and differs with me, or even if I have a guest who differs with me, I always say I'm not interested in debating you. I'm interested in clarifying where we differ. Now, that's not to say that I don't debate people. I certainly do. But generally speaking, I find that if you push for clarity more than you do to make someone agree with you, you get a lot further. So in that spirit, I'm offering these differences between left and right. I have a few other preliminary comments. Not every single person on the left holds every single view I will say that is on the left, and not every single person on the right holds every view that I ascribe to the right. That's inevitable. So why am I doing this? To explain how conservatism and progressivism, if you will, left and right, differ. And then maybe you can then say, well, wait a minute. I thought I was X, but maybe I'm more like Y. I'll give you an example, something that I have often felt. Notice I haven't used the word liberal, because liberals and left are not the same. There are so many arenas where liberal and left don't agree. We now have in the United States of America all black dormitories on some college campuses. That is the opposite of what liberalism taught, which was racial integration, not racial segregation. In fact, I have a video on the internet at PragerU.
What's the difference between a liberal and a leftist? This question stumps most people because they think liberal and left are essentially the same. But they're not. In fact, liberalism and leftism have almost nothing in common.
So I'm not talking about liberalism here. What liberals tend to do is they vote for the left, but their values are far more conservative than they are leftist. That's not my subject. I just wanted to make that clear that I'm not talking about liberals or liberalism. I'm talking about leftism when I speak about the left. The differences between left and right are spectacularly enormous and spectacularly plentiful. I don't expect you to remember all of them. But these are very real and substantial differences, and they are meant for clarity and to help you determine whom you might side with. Maybe you will 80% of the time agree with the left, or 80% of the time agree with the right. And you didn't think of yourself as that prior to this. That will be a very valuable lesson for you. What is the greatest value in society? The left and the right have a different view on that matter. For the left, it is equality, and for the right, it is liberty. And you might say, well, why can't you have both? The French Revolution, after all, did say equality, fraternity, and liberty. Those were its mottos. The American Revolution had life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It didn't include equality. The American Revolution was, I think, in that way more intellectually honest. Because the truth is, equality and liberty don't go hand in hand. The more free people are, the less equality of result you will end up with. Some people have more talent, some people work harder, some people have more luck. Everybody believes, both left and right, that the human being is equal in God's eyes if you believe in God, or equal at birth, or equal before the law, which is what really matters. That's true. But the equality that the left talks of is equality of result, or what they call equity. And for the right, it is liberty. While we're talking about liberty, let's talk about speech. With regard to free speech, the left-wing position is that speech should be free, but not for hate speech. Whereas the right-wing or conservative position is all speech except that which calls for violence should be free, even hate speech. Because what you call hate speech, the next guy may not call hate speech. When people say they're for free speech except for hate speech, what they are really saying is, I'm for free speech with what I agree with. That's not free speech. According to Pew Research, in the United States of America, almost 50% of young people say they believe in free speech but not for hate speech. But of course that means they don't believe in free speech. When I was a kid, Nazis, real Nazis, not people that are just called Nazis because people don't like them, real swastika-bearing Nazis, people who adored Adolf Hitler, wanted to march in a Jewish neighborhood outside of Chicago called Skokie, Illinois. They chose Skokie because many Holocaust survivors lived there. It was a particularly sadistic thing. Most liberal groups at the time, the American Civil Liberties Union, even some Jewish groups, said Nazis have a right to march in the United States of America. That's real hate speech, and I agree with that. That is the way it works. If you allow for free speech, you will allow for speech you don't like. Human nature. Even on that, there is a big left-right difference. On the left, generally speaking, starting with Rousseau and the French Enlightenment, the belief is that human nature is basically good, and on the right, we're not basically good. We're not basically rotten, but we're not basically good. And why does this matter? If you think people are basically good, how do you explain people doing bad things? So on the left, almost always, outside forces will be blamed. So something must have corrupted this wonderful being called human in order for anything bad to actually occur. So they blame racism, they blame poverty, they blame parents, they blame guns. There's always something other than the individual. Whereas on the right, people tend to blame the individual. You have what people on the right would say, a malfunctioning conscience. You should have known that that is wrong, or you did know that was wrong, and you still did it. So that's another massive difference between left and right. Do you blame people for the bad that they do? The place of feelings or the heart in determining what is right. On the left, how you feel is much more important than it is on the right. Because, again, back to the human nature issue, if we're basically good, which people on the left tend to believe, then feelings or your heart is a great determinant of what is right. On the right, there's no trust of the heart. Taken from what most people on the right, not all, I'll deal with that later, believe in the wisdom of the Bible. The Bible repeatedly warns against trusting the heart. And even if you're an atheist, you can appreciate that that's a pretty good warning. Don't rely on your heart to come up with the right answer. It's a bad idea. You need a code, and you need reason applying to that code, and for most people, you need a code giver. But relying on the heart versus not relying on the heart is a huge difference. It is very unlikely in a conservative home that you would see a plaque up, "Follow your heart." If I see a plaque in a home that says "Follow your heart," it is usually people who tend to be left of center. Not always, because not everybody thinks through everything that they believe. But follow your heart is a terrible moral idea. The source of human rights. For the left, the source of rights is the government, the state, or if you will, in America, for example, the Supreme Court. But it comes from the government, from the state. It comes from people. Now, here's a great example of a liberal-left difference. This is from John F. Kennedy, a Democrat, a liberal. His inaugural address when he was inaugurated President of the United States in 1961. The rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. This man was a Democrat, a liberal, and he said that in his inaugural address. This isn't some throwaway line in a speech. This is from the most important speech a president gives. It gives you an idea of the differences, again, between liberalism and leftism. And the American Declaration of Independence says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights." By their Creator. And unalienable, that means they cannot be taken away. Because if God gives something, man can't take it away. But if humans give it, humans can take it away. And that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The source of human rights, for the left, it is the state, and for the right, the conservative, it is ultimately divine. What is the economic goal of a society? For the left, it is equality, which has already been mentioned. For the right, that is not the value. The economic goal is rather prosperity. Now, the left would answer, "Oh yeah, prosperity for the prosperous." This is the left-right divide. Prosperity does not mean every single human being will be prosperous. It depends on your definition. In any event, it prospers. But for the right, the goal of equality doesn't work. As I said earlier, it means, if, among other things, compromise on liberty. But the issue for the right is not, is everybody equal materially? It is everybody okay materially? Equal and okay are not the same thing. Now, your definition of okay may not be the same as the next person's definition of okay, but if you ever look up the data on what the average American living on the poverty line has, what material things they have, it would be very hard to say that they are poor in the way we have understood the term throughout history. Which leads us to their attitudes towards wealth. In general, the left says redistribute it, and the right says create more. It makes perfect sense. If your aim is equality, then you will want to redistribute the wealth that exists. And that's why it is very appealing to many people on the left, what Karl Marx said, and that is to each according to his needs, from each according to his ability. Then we have redistributed the wealth of the society. But of course, the redistribution of wealth involves violence. Ultimately, you will have to force people to give up their money. which is what happens whenever egalitarian ends become the ends in a society. The primary role of the state or government. For the left, it is to increase and protect equality. For the right, it is to increase and protect liberty. A very big difference. That is why the government gets bigger and bigger on the left, because if the purpose of the government is to increase equality, it will have to be involved in everything in life. Whereas if the purpose is to increase liberty, then it retracts, the state retracts. It doesn't get involved in everything. It gets involved in much less. Again, it's the equality-liberty conflict. By the way, that conflict lived itself out in the late 18th century with two enormously significant revolutions. The American Revolution, leading to the creation of the United States of America in 1776, and the French Revolution of 1789. Just 13 years separate them. But one emphasized liberty and one emphasized equality. The one that emphasized equality ended up with the guillotine, or guillotine, if you will. A lot of violence. The one that emphasized liberty ended up the freest country in the history of the world. Ironically, the French built the Statue of Liberty, and they gave it to the United States of America. The place of the American Revolution, not the French Revolution. Who takes care of you, your family, and your fellow citizens? For the left, it is the state. And this is one of the reasons that there is less liberty when you have a bigger state. Because it has to expand in order to take care of more and more people. And as it takes care of more and more people, people are less free. The government has taken over more of their life. That's just part of what it is. And the reason is my sad conclusion about human beings. The human being yearns to be taken care of much more than to be free.
Who is covered by the Social Security Act? People like these.
We think humans yearn to be free, but it's not true. Humans yearn to be taken care of. And the left says, we will take care of you. We will provide your children with breakfast and lunch. We will provide you with free education, your children with free education, with free health care. And it sounds wonderful, but it means you don't take care of you. The conservative view is you take care of you take care of your children or family, and you take care of your community. That was the American way, and I'm using America not because I'm American, but because America became the freest country in the world. Became. I think it's losing its freedoms as I speak to you now, but that's another matter. I take care of me, I take care of my family, and I take care of my community is the ideal on the right. On the left, the state takes care of me, the state takes care of my family, and the state takes care of my community. It's a really big difference. The size of government. Since the government is supposed to ensure equality and take care of everybody, the bigger the government, the better it is for folks on the left. Whereas on the right, since freedom is its siren song, the smaller the government, the better. Obviously, government is necessary for police protection, for armed forces, for guarding borders. I mean, they're obviously arenas. I'm not talking about anarchy. Everybody acknowledges a role for government. But the motto of the conservative is the bigger the government, the smaller the citizen. It's a line I came up with many years ago, and it has served me well. in explaining conservatism. You can't have big government and big individual. It's one or the other. The bigger the state, the smaller the citizen. But people on the left believe, many of them truly, sincerely believe, they are doing the moral thing by expanding government, that it should take care of more and more people, that you can't rely on people to take care of themselves, their families, and their communities, that this is something the state should do. Again, a huge difference. The primary authority in a child's life. For the left, the primary authority in a child's life is the state. For the right, it is the parent. You see this being played out, and maybe there will be other examples. But at this moment, this conflict between who should be the ultimate authority in a child's life is very dramatically being played out. Let us say your 11-year-old child, let's say a girl, says she is a boy. The left says the school does not have to tell the parents that their daughter now says she is a boy. And so at school, she will be called by a male name and be referred to as he whenever spoken about in the preferred pronoun language that we now have, but the parents will not be told about this. There are some states in the United States where schools are forbidden to tell the parents if the child doesn't want them to. The ultimate authority in the child's life is the state. Parental authority is sacrosanct to the conservative mind. One of the 10 Commandments is honor your father and mother. It is the only one of the 10 Commandments that has a reward in the 10 Commandments, so that you will live long on the land that I will give you. In other words, society will not survive, is the biblical view, if parental authority is crushed. In the Soviet Union and in fascist Germany, that's exactly what happened. If you were a child, you took an oath to Komsomol. Your parents played a very diminished role as you went further and further left. The ideal family, even their left and right differ. It's really amazing. Just about every area of life constitutes a left-right difference. The ideal family for the left is any group of loving individuals. For the conservative or the right, the ideal family is obviously loving individuals, but the nuclear family, a married man and woman and children. For people on the left, that is an intolerant view and one that should have been jettisoned because there are so many other possibilities: a single parent, 2 parents of the same sex, even perhaps 3 parents if they love each other. But to say that there is an ideal of a mother, father married, or what about mother and father who are not married? That's another example. They can love each other and be committed to each other, and all of this is true. It's true with same-sex couples who love each other and are committed to one another. I am very close to 2 such couples. But by the way, it's interesting. The gay couples that I am very close to acknowledge that the ideal is, in fact, a married man and woman. This was not really available to them as they understand it, and may well not have been. And so they did the second best thing. They tried to create a perfectly middle-class family of 2 men. Those are the 2 cases that I'm particularly close to, and raise children just like a heterosexual couple would, but obviously there is no mother. But they are outspoken in their understanding that, of course, it's best if a child has a mother and a father. It's not anti-gay to acknowledge that the ideal is a mother and father. I've been divorced. I have no problem in acknowledging that the ideal is to raise kids without divorce. We have decided to get rid of ideals so as not to hurt people's feelings. But the human species needs ideals to know what it is to aspire to. And the ideal is a married man and woman raising children. That's the nuclear family, whereas again for the left, it is people who love each other and constitute a family. Human beings, how are they divided? The great division for the left is race, gender, and class. That is a meaningful division of the human species, by race, by gender, and by class. Two huge differences among human beings for the left: rich and poor, and strong and weak. They are determinative. Who has the power is an operative element in all left-wing thought. Take the Middle East, for example, where on the left, Israel is the villain, even though Israel has no desire to destroy any of its neighbors, and many of the people living around Israel have a desire to destroy Israel. But Israel is stronger and richer, and that is enough to make it the villain. You have this very often on the left, where the division is weak and strong and rich and poor. On the right, the major division between human beings is a moral one. Who is right and who is wrong, not as who is strong and who is weak, or who is poor and who is rich. There are good people and there are not good people. Or if you will, as Viktor Frankl in his great book, Man's Search for Meaning, wrote, there are only two races, the decent and the indecent. That is the one and only conservative distinction among human beings that is important. Not race, not gender, not class. Gender has importance. I mean, men and women are different. That is a belief, obviously, among conservatives. But it is not a moral distinction. And the moral distinction is the one that matters. How to make a good society. That's a very big subject, no? You would think they would agree on that, but again, left and right don't. For the left, it is abolish inequality. Then, by golly, you've got a really beautiful society. For the right, develop each citizen's moral character. And that's a real project. But if you don't do that, it is not possible to have a good society. Sex/gender. For the left, sex, or gender, as the term is now used, is a societal construct. Society tells you what male and female is. It is not an objective distinction. That's the whole point with the transgender. If you say you're a boy and you're biologically a girl, then you're a boy, and vice versa. For the conservative, there's male and female, and they are inherently different. You can feel that you are the other. That is obviously a granted fact, but it doesn't mean that you are the other. That is why the terminology that the left uses is sex assigned at birth, as if you were assigned it, but it doesn't really exist. But it does really exist. What is the most important trait to cultivate in a child? Even here, there is a left-right difference. On the left, it is overwhelmingly, certainly in America, self-esteem. That is not true for conservatives. The most important trait to cultivate is not self-esteem, but self-control. I tell this to new parents all the time, because often they will call my radio show. So we're having a baby, give us a piece of advice on raising our child. I said, okay, here goes. Self-control is infinitely more important than self-esteem. And by the way, you get self-esteem from self-control. You will raise a happier, not to mention better human being by emphasizing self-control. But again, if you think people are basically good, there's nothing to control. Just let your nature express itself. But that's not the belief among people on the right. You've got a tough nature to control, and you need to control it. Boy or girl, that's what you need to do. Good and evil. On the left, good and evil are relative terms, relative to the individual and relative to the society. There are no absolutes, because absolutes imply a God, and for the left, as opposed again to the liberal, for the left, that is not a usable distinction, because either there is no God, or we don't know really what God wants, or different people have different views of God, or for whatever reason. But moral relativism, what is good for you is good for you, and what is good for me is good for me, tends to be the view on the left, and moral absolutes, in other words, universal morality, is a belief of the conservative. The view of America, very, very different again between left and right. The left basically sees America as essentially a profoundly morally flawed society. I asked Howard Zinn, the most widely read left-wing, not liberal, left-wing author in America, his history of the United States, I think it's called The Popular History of the United States, has been read in classroom after classroom more than any other history work. He actually came onto my radio show, and I saluted him for it. I was conservative, and he was on the left. And by the way, it was exactly what I want. Clarity over agreement. I didn't yell at him or even debate him. I just wanted to clarify where he stood. And I asked him, do you think the world is a better place because the United States of America was created? And he basically said, not really. Or he's agnostic on the issue. Okay, that's the left-wing view. America is so bad, so flawed, that it is not a net gain for humanity that the United States ever was formed. Whereas the conservative says, are you kidding? The United States was has been one of the greatest forces for liberty on earth. Why the French gave us the Statue of Liberty. It's composed of humans, therefore it will be flawed because humans are flawed. But basically, a vast amount of good has been done inside this country and by this country externally.
Why choose this as our goal? Why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
That is why when they protested in Hong Kong against the Chinese Communist government's takeover, the flag that they chose to march with for liberty, to symbolize freedom, was the American flag. I've given you many differences between left and right, and believe it or not, there are many more. I'm Dennis Prager. Thank you for watching.